following announcement has been paid for by the Celtic World Order.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome back to Celtic World Order. We are burning the midnight oil once again. It's 25 past 10 and already there's 10 waiting. So thank you to you and anybody else that continues to join us, whether you're going to be watching us live. I know that it's super late. I know that you've probably OD'd on Champions League content already, or whether you're watching it retrospectively. As we always say, it's a warm welcome back to Celtic World Order. As you can see, he's got that camo top on, but there's something different about that badge. If only that were real. It's my bearded brother. It's Paddy boy. Paddy, we've got a lot to talk about. We'll bring out what we've been doing, but thanks for joining me so late on, mate.
Not a problem, man. For those of you who don't know, me and Steve have actually been on here from probably about 7 o'clock. We had a lovely conversation with an ex-player. So over to Steve, I'll let you talk about it and let the folk know.
We shall talk about that. As we say, you've came here for the Champions League chat. Exciting times, and I ain't going to lie, optimistic. But before we do that, before we do everything else, the wee bit of housekeeping. Once again, thank you for joining us. If you are a returning subscriber, then thank you very much for your continued custom in making Celtic World Order a part of your Celtic podcasting life. If you're new to the channel, what are you doing? Make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell icon. Every time we go live, every time we do an upload, you'll get noticed. You'll never miss a beat. You'll get notifications coming out your eyeballs. If you want to connect with us elsewhere, we're on X at CWPod1888. Just make sure you like our content, give it a thumbs up, share it, grow this community. If you want to help out further, you can donate by joining the membership. Completely optional, doesn't give you any additional content. Everything we do is continually. What is it, Paddy? Talk to me.
The same price as a Rangers transfer. Absolutely. Hee-haw.
$3.99, and it will continue to be. But if you want to help out the channel, you can make a donation to that, and it helps with the running cost. Anyway, that is it. It's done. We're here to talk about the Champions League. But as we say, before we go on, we'll just get this out of the way nice and early. As we say, we would have loved to have been on earlier. We would have loved to have been completely reactionary. But between life of being a family man, we also had another video that will be getting rolled out tomorrow because we were here and we had the pleasure to be joined with a ex-player, in my opinion, a bona fide Celtic legend. And as we say, one of our own, because it was our pleasure to have not 40 minutes, not 1 hour. He went 2 hours on his own time. And that was, of course, we sat down with none other than this man, Mr. Peter Grant. And it was an absolute pleasure to have Peter Grant join us on the podcast for a chat about a bit of everything. His background, his time at Celtic, his return and coaching. And of course, we even went right up to date because we were talking about this very Champions League draw. We were talking about where the club are at this moment in time. And he was giving his thoughts on it. That'll be getting rolled out tomorrow. And hopefully you enjoy that. As we say, it is appointment viewing. It's 2 hours. So sit yourself down, a couple of cans, a glass of wine, whatever your desire is, and enjoy whatever we've been talking about. There was a lot of ground covered. And I've got to say, genuinely, what a guy. An absolute gentleman, Paddy. A great laugh. And he could have went on for hours and hours. He says to us, we'll get the job done. We don't want to keep you. And he says, we will talk until we need to talk. So, yeah. Paddy, thank you for Paddy for arranging that for us.
Nah, Peter's a cracking guy. I've spoke to him. I've been in contact with him for the last week or so. Obviously, getting him to do this. He's an absolute gem. Like you said, one of our own. Born in Bells Hill. Stayed in Chapel Hall. Went to the same school as me and you. So we obviously had that wee bit of common ground to talk about and stuff. But yeah, listen, it'll go out tomorrow. Get yourselves logged in and watch that. Even watch it as a two-parter because a 2 hour long stint is a long shot. We do know that. So yeah, get that out there. Get it shared as well, guys.
No, absolutely. As I say, I think that's the thing, and that's another thing that we're going to do here. As we say, we've said time and time again, we're constantly trying to diversify what we do. We'll always be here for the bread and butter. We'll be here for the news, the updates, the reaction, that kind of stuff. But we want to grow the channel, and as time goes on, we'll be bringing in a varied bit of content from these kind of chats with ex-players or people of a Celtic persuasion. It's all about the song, isn't it? The singer makes the song.
So, yeah.
Somebody that can sit and talk to us, a good chat about Celtic, and well, we're here for that, and I'm sure you'll be here for that as well. So anyway, Paddy, as we always say, let's get down to business, because there's been a few things that have been going on with regards to the transfer stuff. We'll cut that on at the tail end, won't we? Because that's really a side note to this all. Because the big question really is, quite frankly, it's this one here. It's the Champions League draw. We sat there, we went through the new format, which I must admit, I actually quite liked. It was very quick, it was efficient, it was, dare I say it, more exciting. And this is what we ended up with. We've got home ties against Leipzig, Club Brugge, Young Boys of Bern, Bratislava, and then away ties, the Yellow Wall, Borussia Dortmund, Atalanta, a team that O'Reilly could have been at. Dynamo Zagreb, I believe they may have changed their name now, but I'll always associate that as a Dynamo Zagreb, and of course Aston Villa. Tasty ties, Paddy, tasty ties. And what was your initial thoughts there at that time? Just as he's freezing up on me, right at the optimum time.
Sorry, right at the optimum minute there. Like you said, tasty ties in there, Steve-O. I'm excited about Dortmund away though. That seems to be that's a bucket list one, isn't it, to be out there and see the Yellow Wall. Looking at the rest though, it's doable. We always say teams coming to Celtic Park. I would fancy Celtic. I'm always quite quietly confident. Nah, I'm not quietly confident. You know me. I'm always confident. I'm straight in there. Every one of the Champions League games, I'm still going to go for my 4-0, as I've been going for every week. Listen, let's be honest. It's a cracking draw. I like the way it was done. It was, like you said, it was really efficient. It went quite well. So, yeah, bring them on.
I said, and it's quite confusing. I saw this and I thought this really summed up, in case you didn't know how the new draw worked.
I love it.
But I enjoyed the new format. I've got to admit, it was good to just get that almost instant update where you were going, wasn't it? Because your pot one teams are getting that, they're finding out who their fate is, and you're like, right, here we go. And it was a lot smoother. I really did like it. It was kind of funny though watching it as well, because even though you had the traditional ball getting drawn out, you had Ronaldo there slapping the big Champions League logo, and I think you get a bit fed up looking, didn't you, after a couple of minutes? That's a shite. I'm not really doing much here, but no, it was a good draw. It was smooth, it was efficient, it was more punchy, and I think that's what we've been wanting. But as I say, is looking at that new format and looking at the teams that we've got now. We've sat here and I thought it was efficient. I think once you get your head around it and you started to see it coming, that the fixtures were just rolling out. You could see where you're going, and you were getting that instant feedback. You're waiting for it. Whereas I always hated that. Right, here's the draw, and it would work its way around, and it was a bit monotonous. I just wanted to know quicker who we were going to end up playing. Do you know what I mean? That's what I wanted to see, and it happened that way for me anyway. But no, it was great. And looking at the ties, we've sat here. I came on last night. I had spoke about my sort of concerns about the way we've been running our transfer policy, but concerns about, are we really going to do it? And as it says on the tagline there, Champions League draw, are we going to be tooled up? Well, that remains to be seen. But even just, again, as we say, at face value, Paddy, if we look at these teams, if we look at the draw that we've got here, yes, there's some top teams in there, but it's favourable, is it not? It's very favourable.
We spoke about it prior to this as well, and we'd said that we'd be looking at, we said 12 points, and then I seen the thing coming out earlier on. I think you mentioned it as well, Steve-O, that they reckon only 10 points is going to be the needed amount for Champions, in order to progress through. So, do you know what? Looking at the teams, I reckon we'll get 10 points at least from that. You're looking at the teams like Bruges, you would expect to beat Bruges. Even Leipzig at home, I don't really fear that.
Well, the good thing about Leipzig, there's got to be a sort of, after having played them in recent years and it being a very frustrating fixture, I feel like we're a different kettle of fish right now to be taking them on. And
yeah,
as you says, this is just early analysis that we've seen online. But usually, as you know, as a rule of thumb, when you play in the Champions League until format old, if you win your 3 home games, that would usually all but guarantee you safe passage to the next
yeah,
round. Now, obviously, every team has 8 games to play, and that's been varying difficulty in some of those that you've got. Of course, it
yeah,
will. But just looking at it for me, young boys, Bratislava, take those actual 4 home games. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself here because I've been stung a million times. But even just now with the squad that we have, yes, we need extra quality and it'll help us. Of course it will.
yeah,
But if you says to me right now, with the squad that we've got, do I think that we could win all of those games at home? If not, at least win 2 with 2 draws. I would say 100%,
yeah.
bare minimum.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
No, definitely, mate. Listen, I'd be hoping to
Thank
beat
you.
young boys. You'd be hoping to beat Bratislava. Bruges, again, not heard really much of them. Do you know what I mean? Other than where they play and things like that. But listen, yeah, Leipzig's the only real challenge, I think, in that league. Well, for the home games,
And certainly
essentially.
for home games, yeah, of
For home
course. I
games,
mean,
obviously, like going away to Villa and going away to Dortmund and stuff, even Atlanta, is going to be a tough one. But you're expecting something from it. You'd expect to get, like you say, a point here or there out of that. So I would be fully expecting to go through for this.
yeah. And the thing is, Paddy, is we always sit here and talk about the home game's importance, right? Now, of course, you're still getting a pot 1, a pot 2 team, etc. at home. That's the way that it's working out, right? But if you look at the away ties, Borussia Dortmund, Atalanta, Aston Villa in particular, right?
Yeah,
Now, yeah, we always say on our game, on our night, under the lights, with the atmosphere at Celtic Park, you should fear nobody. And we had this chat with Peter earlier on, and he was the exact same. And that was the sort of praises in the chat that he was praising, that at home we should be fearing no one.
yeah,
However, if you were to flip those fixtures and look at the 4 away ones and put them at home, would I still have the same level of confidence? No, I wouldn't. So in
no,
terms of, and I'm not saying that we can't go away to these games and maybe get draws, and I'd be looking at Dynamo there as the one that I'd be thinking, right, that's the away game that you want to be trying to capitalise and get 3 points at. The other 3, in my personal opinion, regardless of how much quality we do or don't add, I'm thinking try and get away with a draw. But I'm not going to expect much more than that, if I'm being perfectly honest, which I'll always be. But I look at the 4 home games and I think we couldn't have drawn a better 4 home games
yeah,
out of the pots.
yeah. Earlier on, as soon as the draw got made, my mate John was messaging me and he said straight away, he says, I couldn't have wrote it down any better. And watching them come out as well, you were watching, obviously, pot 4 for teams like Girona and things like that. And I'm like, just please avoid them. And then obviously we get hit with Villa and stuff like that. But yeah, listen, bring them on. I'm quite excited about it. Chilpel saying there how much of the Champions League package be. It's been rumoured between anything between 180 and 200, isn't it? So we'll wait and see how that is when that comes out.
Exactly. As I said last night, we don't know how much it's going to be yet, but we do know when we'll be paying for it, because they sent an email checking up on your payments to make sure that's happening. So, no, like, I think those 4 games, obviously, as it says, because he's scheduling and working out the logistics here, it's going to be Saturday. So, Saturday's the time. Get yourself sitting on standby, buy those computers, try to get those holiday vacations, get that time off your work, get your flights booked, get your hotel booked. But the great thing is, and I'm very, very happy about it, is the Villa away, because Birmingham is but a stone's throw, and there is absolutely no excuse for every single one of you out there to get your body down there on the train or in a car or however you choose to get yourself down there for a cracking away day.
Yeah. 3 hours, 45 minutes on the M6, mate. Easy. Oof.
You fear, see how so to profile the teams there, obviously, as we says, Leipzig out the home games for me, they're undoubtedly the game that they're the game that's going to be the toughest, I think. Sometimes we take for granted teams like Bruges and Young Boys, and even to an extent Bratislava, relatively unknown quantities. And we've been stung with that before in Europe over and over. You know, again, dare I say it, Bodo Glimt, for example, Copenhagen, ones that look really, really easy on paper. We just don't quite deliver. Even with the likes of Shakhtar Donetsk, when we looked previously and we thought really favourable, and these are not panning out the way that they perhaps should. But again, for me, Leipzig's the standout one. That's the one that I would expect to get the hardest time out of. Looking away at the away fixtures, Dortmund writes itself. It's iconic. They're a tough team. Look, beaten finalists very recently. Of course, we've got a rock and hard place there, haven't we? Because prepare yourself if we don't win for the beating Dortmund doesn't for everybody crap, right? You know, strap yourself in. You know what's going to happen. But for me, I think looking at them, I genuinely believe this. I know Battle of Britain and all that kind of stuff. The one that I don't really like the look of is Aston Villa.
Yeah,
with the away ones.
They're decent.
Unai Emery, fantastic manager. His, PSG team had scared many a Celtic fan. He knows what he's doing, and I think for me, that's the one out them all. Believe it or not, that I am thinking right. That's I don't fancy that one. But again, as we've seen with Celtic and playing English opposition, we somehow managed to find an extra couple of levels. Maybe it's that wee bit of chip on the shoulder that the English pundits, etc., think we're in a farmer league and it's absolutely garbage. So am I maybe off piece there? Am I maybe wrong in that assumption?
No, listen, we've said it before. I wouldn't be surprised if Celtic went out there and scalped Leipzig and lost to Bruges, and it's just the way Celtic do things. We seem to up our game against the bigger teams, essentially. We've all been there at Celtic Park and watched them beat Barcelona and AC Milan and teams like that. We've all been there for massive Champions League games. It's the lesser teams that we seem to struggle against, and I think we need to go into them with the same intensity that we're going into the other showbiz games, essentially, like your Dortmund and whatever else. Now, you said there as well, obviously we'll get the Dortmund jibes. Beating Dortmund isn't for everybody, but do you know what, Steve-O? The Champions League isn't for everybody, mate. So we can just pass that back on to them.
It's good to see. Keep your opinions coming in here, by the way, in the comments. We'll try and get as many of them up here and make it a wee bit more interactive. Because now that I've got Paddy beside me, I can bring him up and he can talk away. But I'm seeing a mix here as well. Atalanta could be an absolute doing. Yep, what a team! Undoubtedly they're away ties, as we says, with the exception of Dynamo. I think the other three ties don't look favourable, and as we says, if you're just joining us, I wouldn't have fancied those 4 away ties to be our home ties, even at home. And in terms of what's coming up here, Red Scotland saying that he can't see he's taking much. I agree with the sort of Atalanta, Dortmund. I think Leipzig, they've been weakened somewhat, as has been said in the comments. I think that there's going to be room for points there. Minimum 1 point at home, I would say. I'd be more than capable of doing that. Villa, as I said, that's the one for me that I don't like the look of the most. Bruges, again, I'm not going to sit here and profess to know enough about them, but I certainly think that at home, it's very doable. I don't have too much concern for Bruges, but I'm not going to write them off. I'm not going to be ignorant to that. But of course, the interesting thing, Paddy, is going to be is not just a case of who we're playing. It's going to be when they fall, because we don't know that yet. So yeah, we're sitting here and worrying that Aston Villa could be an absolute tanking, but who knows? By that, they could be potential one of your very last games, and they could have done very well in the remaining games and don't need to play a full team. There's many variables, isn't there?
Yeah, of course there is. This league phase, I think, really fits into the way we are wanting to progress. Previously, you're getting put in there between one team for each pot, and you're in against, obviously, we've been unlucky the last wee while getting drawn against Real Madrid and your Barcelonas and everybody else. Previously, if we'd have been put in there and you'd have got Leipzig, Dynamo, Bratislava and things like that, you'd have been sitting rubbing your hands together thinking, geez, we're getting out of this group. So
Yeah.
I feel like going in with this league format, and obviously you only need to finish, what was it the top 10 or something, go through
Well,
automatically.
so the way it works out, yeah, I'm understanding, yeah, it's going to drop down. So you need to be in the top 24. Anything below is just natural wastage. You don't drop down. There's nothing that happens there. You're just out in your ear. There's going to be a split where essentially you're going to have 24 teams, and they're going to have, I think it's the, so 8, 6, yeah. So you'll have 8, top 8 or instant, they're straight through. The remaining will go into the playoff, and then that'll give you your knockout phase.
Yeah.
So you've got at least 2 games if you get in that top 24, and then again it just becomes, well, it's lucky to draw twice over, of course, but if you hit that playoff round, you don't know what you're going to get, and particularly the way it's going to get drawn. They've not really told us yet. Is that going to be back to the old-fashioned names out of hat, or is it going to be some sort of computer automated thing? I saw a lot of skepticism around about the computer automation thing, where they're saying it could be rigged. That's just, people fear change, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Computer automation and things like that's always going to cause an issue when it comes to things like that. It's the same with VAR. VAR gets brought in, and people don't really trust things like that. Changing anything's going to cause a bit of an issue. I think it's all good. I think going into it, we should be confident. We should be looking forward for this. We should be excited again about the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Paddy, as we say, there's various comments coming in and various thoughts on it. Again, we're just treating absolutely everything here at face value. We're going for, again, Slovan Bratislava. I would be a complete and utter liar if I sat here and told you that I know about them. Sometimes the unknown is the ones that you really should be worrying about. And as it was said, there's a comment I just brought up, says that, think of how confident we were getting into the last 2 groups, and I think we were. We looked at those, and the term that we used as well at the top of the show, it looks winnable.
Yeah.
But do you feel that we've had an evolution in this side? Now, it's not exactly, we've got largely the same squad. Some will argue that it's weaker. Remains to be seen between now and this time, 10 minutes from now tomorrow. So I can actually say that we are inside the last 25 hours, because I was getting dug up about that yesterday. It's amazing what a bit of passion and frustration can do to you. But the points remain the same. But we'll know really by the end this time tomorrow exactly how we're shaping up. And as it says, will we be tooled up, Paddy? As I say, is looking at what we have at this moment in time, just broadly speaking, based on the names on a sheet, I feel that this team alone at this moment in time that we've got should be able to look at those 4 home games and at bare minimum get 8 points from them.
100%, mate. You look at the way we're playing, we're confident. Guys like Kuhn and Dizamaida firing all cylinders. We know that we need change. We know that we need another midfielder in there. We're needing another centre back. But yeah, listen, it's all coming together. Obviously, we're not sure what's happening on the recruitment front. I don't know whether you want to talk about that later on, Steve, or
we'll just move on. I mean, let's bring it straight in right now. The question here has been, and Red Scotland's bringing this up here, and this is very true. There's a lot of folk that are rubbishing on this new format, very sceptical about it. But the reality of it is it is to try and give away this notion that it's monopolised to the top teams. Yeah. Because, yes, the draws are random, as we know. But the way it's working out is you can get something like that, again, on paper is very, very favourable, because you're playing essentially teams that are around you, more teams that are around you or below you in terms of coefficient. Now, as we look at Aston Villa and we look at the amount of money that they've got and some of the players they've got, it's irrelevant what their coefficient says, because they're a fantastic team and they're littered with talent. So sometimes the coefficient's a false indicator of the ability of a team. But again, look at it as we says, we're no longer being that pot 4 team that's having to go up against 3 Goliaths. We're getting to play 2 that are apparently off our level and 2 that are considered to be less. And across the piece, yes, thank you, John. And across the piece, I actually think we are getting drawn against teams that are beatable, or that we should be taking points, a point off. As I say, the biggest obvious ones are going to be Dortmund, they're going to be Atalanta, and they're going to be Villa. They're the 3 that I have the least confidence about. We don't have a great record on the road. That's something that we need to try and improve on. Of course, Dynamo, no great shakes, still a very good team. But if there were ever one out of those that we could be looking to take a point or 3 points away from, that's the one that we should be targeting. And I think that the manager will want to go into these games, obviously, to try and win every single game. But you've got to look at those 4 and say, maximise your chances here. Anything else you take in those away games is a bonus.
100%, mate. That's always been the case anyway, hasn't it? Concentrating on home games, see what we can get for there. And then when you go to the away games, try and not get scalped. It's always kind of been the way. Once we strengthen, once we bring in the players that are needed, I think that we will have a squad decent enough to go out there and actually compete. Because I think we've got a chance just now. We've said this 10 to 12 points. I think getting 12 points for that group is achievable right now, looking at it. 3 of the home games, I'm saying straight away, there's 9 points. I'd be quite happy with that. Leipzig, I don't actually fear them as much as what we probably should. Because again, Celtic Park, it's different. It's a different kettle of fish when you're there. So if you can get out of that, if you can get out of the 4 home games with 9 points, you just need one more win away from home. I'd be quietly confident that you get it.
And the thing as well, as I says, we're looking at our draw and we're calling it favourable. I've not had time to sit down and digest every team's fixtures, but there was a few that caught my eye where I thought to myself, God, they're on to hiding for nothing.
Yeah.
So there is still these group of deaths, even though it's not a group. The way I would treat it is you look at your own club and you treat that as a wee mini group, don't you? You treat that as your own group. How many points are we going to generate it for that?
Yeah.
And I've looked at some teams' fixtures and thought, God, that's the Celtic draw. That's typically what we get. Now, of course, with 8 teams, you're always going to be in for stinkers. It's unavoidable. And I've just continually named the 3 that are absolute stinkers in this group.
Yeah.
But that's 3-8. So you've got 5 right good shots at it.
Yeah.
That's 5. That's 5 times 3. That's 15 points up for grabs. That you should be looking at 15 points. Let's get as many of those 15 points as we can. Anything else is a bonus. Now, I'm not saying Celtic will come away with 15 points. Do not misconstrue that. But what I'm saying is there's a 15-point chance that look attainable. Now, in terms of how we're going to get there and are we going to come up, well, people are asking. So, of course, we know what we've got to do. And it came out. Celtic finally got there. I say finally got there, still to be confirmed, still to get that confirmation, to get that welcome to Celtic, Harnett Engels. We're still to get that, but confirmed, Celtic and Augsburg have agreed the deal. £11 million. There's been no further mention of how much that's going to rise to. The word was it'll eventually go up to 13 and there'll be a sizable sell-on clause. Now, again, in terms of absolute quality, from what we've seen, what we've heard, it looks as if it's ticking all the boxes, Paddy. It looks as if it's the quality that we need. It looks as if it's shown ambition. And in terms of the fee, we were wanting to get record fees for Matt O'Reilly, which we did, but it was 1 million over what we've previously done.
Yeah.
By dropping that amount of money on somebody at the front end, if he turns out to be the success that O'Reilly is, just simply by design of how much you've outlaid at the front, the next one, if it's him, should be 30 million or more.
100%, mate. We spoke about this guy previous. We spoke about him coming in. I think he's an exciting prospect. McCown, his name keeps coming up as well. I do think he will be added alongside Arnie Engels. For the sake of £1 million, I think it's a no-brainer to bring the guy in. possibly the Trusty deal as well. Heard that it was over the line, possibly 6 million was that?
Well, there's been some there that have said that I've seen a couple of comments saying that Anthony Joseph, he's been kind of back and forward and trying his best to put out as much info there as thing. I know folk will maybe turn their nose up at Anthony Joseph, but you've got to take any reports as you find it. And yeah, it was saying that it's going to be up to £6 million. Again, in terms of his valuation, they paid 4.5 million when they got him in a year ago, so they're cleaning their nose on it. They're making a bit of a profit. Obviously, do you think the fact that we thought Mikey Johnson was going to be going to there, but it turns out he's now went to West Brom, which again, I'm surprised it took so long for them to come in for him, considering the fact that he shone down there and the fans wanted him. Do you think that extra millions because they didn't get their man?
I think they took the huff, mate. I think they threw the toys out of the pram. They were in, apparently it was all over the line, 2.5 million. It was signed, sealed and delivered. He was already on his way down, and then the car's done a wee UE and went to West Brom, and we've got an extra 500,000 put onto his wage, put onto the transfer fee. Yeah, I think that's been a toys out of the pram situation. If when he's no 5 million anymore, he's 7. I mean, or 6. As if can I get it up your point? Do you know what I mean? I think that's been a wee. Yeah, you try and shaft us, we'll shaft you.
Austin Trusty, we're starting to, the pieces appear to be falling in at the jigsaw. I came on here last night. I'm never going to back down. I'm never going to be ashamed to wear my heart on my sleeve. And it was frustration. I did say that I was confident that Arne Engels would get over the line. It looks as if that's happened, and I'm overjoyed about that. As I say, I haven't got a problem with the fee. The problem was how it's protracted all the time. In terms of Trusty, again, I'm seeing some comments. I've heard that he's garbage, and yeah, again, you get this with every player, don't you, that leaves. They're washed up, they're this, they're that, and until you see the guy in the flesh, until you see him in a Celtic jersey, playing in a Celtic system, playing under our manager, then it's hard to judge. But we say again, and I've criticised the keep the faith thing, I don't like keep the faith by blind trust and faith in our board, but I do have faith in my manager. And I think if he's a guy that he's identified, which undoubtedly will be because it's from English League stock, which is his wheelhouse, I think you've got to say that he sees something in him, that he's going to be a positive addition to the team. And you know, and this is the thing here as well. You know, Big Trusty, hopefully it looks like he's got the pace that Scales lacks.
Yeah,
it's minor tweaks, isn't it? If we're getting into this, Champions League, we need to make slight tweaks. As I says last night, if you treat a football team like a performance motor, over time you need to replace and make minor tweaks and minor upgrades to the parts. And that's hopefully what we're doing here, because we're not far off it. Yeah, we'll always need depth. Depth is key when you're playing a lot of games, and when the legs get tired at an elite level, when those players are a higher standard here, just have that wee bit extra juice in the tank at the end. But if we can add these wee sparklings of quality, again, on face value, at this moment in time, we're looking a good place. Do you not think that an extra 2, maybe 3 signings, Paddy, even though we would ideally want 5 or 6, does 3 signings, 4 signings make us more competitive? Does it sort this?
Of course it does. Anybody in the door is better than nobody in the door. We spoke about it as well, having the depth there in order to take somebody off the park and bring somebody on of a similar quality. Liam Scales, I don't think, is of the same kind of quality as somebody like Trusty. So I'd like to obviously get him in the door and get him playing with us.
And there you go, mate. Yeah. Birmingham, he's stint there, singing his praises. A lot of people are basing him on, I suppose, going to Sheffield United in an absolutely tragic and doomed Premier League outing.
Yeah.
You know, you can't judge one guy. I know he's a defender, and defenders and goalies are the unfortunate guys that pay the ultimate price on the score sheet when it comes to team ratings, but as a team game, you can't hang a defender's reputation out to dry as part of an 11-man on the pitch, or indeed a 20-odd man squad that just have an absolute stinker collectively.
100%, mate. Listen, get the numbers in, get the guys in. I fully expect Trusty, Engels and McCowan to be announced imminently.
So can I jump in there? the McCown thing. Look, McCown, homegrown quota, uninspiring perhaps. I think, as we say, is maybe getting an Ingles. Trusty, it might take the edge off that if that's to be why he's signing. I said that I thought if he came in, he'd maybe be coming in with a hand tied behind his back, and it's no fault of his own. It's not his fault that Celtic want to sign him if that's going to be the case. That's interesting because there was obviously Alvin Sanchez from Lausanne Sport, and there was talk again about Celtic wanting to resurrect that deal off the back of the Bogus thing, all but dead in the water.
Yeah.
Are you disappointed that the names that are floating about, McCowan and even Sanchez, even though they're saying that we're now still in a wee bit of dialogue with the team there, but it's not really, it's looking unlikely. Are you disappointed that we went from chasing an attacking option to just stock midfielders, guys that are going to be, they'll offer you a wee bit of creative play, but essentially they're midfielders, they're there to show up a game?
Yeah, of course, Bogus looked pretty special, especially his free kicks and his attacking power and things like that. He looked as if he was a decent asset and like he would do really well for the team. McCowan, I think, is a numbers guy. He's just somebody who's, like you say, he's going to slot in there. He'll be decent for the Premier League. He'll be decent for the Diddy Cup and things like that. However, I wouldn't be playing him in the Champions League. I think for that, you need a step up, you need a level up. Sanchez, I'm not properly clued up on. I knew we were linked with him. I'd like to see potential. I'd like to see us go out there with a bit of ambition. We've obviously got the teams in now, we've got the group settled. It'd be nice to see the board actually backing the manager and saying, right, looking at that, we can make a difference here. Go out and buy some.
Well, that's the thing, Paddy. To jump in that, great point, well put. The manager's sitting here crying out for quality. It looks as if he's got that, and by way of obviously, well, I know they were in situ, but by the additions or the reintroduction, if you will, Ida, Bernardo is a good start. Valle, yep, excellent, looks on paper, is just ticking all the boxes. The problem has been on, fair play, everyone should be slightly annoyed, is the sum total of our apparent tireless efforts are a guy on loan. Yes, a very good guy on loan, but still a temporary option because no guarantees at that, and that could be one that we don't end up and we find ourselves back to square one. But certainly for the here now, this season in the Champions League should serve us as well. But in terms of we need more attacking options, we need more things, the managers want quality and he's wanting additional players in. Do you feel that even this late on, that draw looking as favourable as it does? And again, I'm putting a lot of lean on the 4 home games rather than the away games.
Yeah.
Because, as I say, that's potentially 12 points, which could be massive at home, relatively favourable. Do you think that gives them any level of ammunition? Do you think that the board will uncharacteristically bend at the knee a wee bit and give us just that wee bit extra, and we might get a couple of surprises because it looks, hey, do you know what? We could actually do something here.
We live in hope. If Brendan goes in there and says, do you know what, we can't expect to beat this one, that one, that one, and that one. But I'm going to need a bit more. I'm going to need a wee bit extra here for backup, essentially, because if you look at the positions, look at what happened with Matt O'Reilly. Touch wood, nothing happens to Engels when he comes in. But if he gets injured, then we've got Bernardo as a backup. And other than him, we've got Thiago Holm and Tomoki Awata. We don't actually have a proper central midfielder that's going to be an attacking option for us to slot in there. Same with Trusty, right? It's okay bringing in Trusty and Alex Vale and stuff, but you've got Greg Taylor and Scales as their backups. Now, I've said it previous times, I've commented on it all the time. You want to be taking off like for like. You want to be bringing on a player that's going to be giving you the same intensity, the same passion, the same presence in a game, especially when you're in the Champions League, because when you're coming up against teams, no offence to the Scottish Premier League, but you're coming up against St Mirren and Aberdeen and Hibs every week and you've got 5 seconds on the ball, you're not getting that in the Champions League. You're lucky if you get 2 seconds on the ball. And that's where the extra vision and the better players actually progress you, they help you out. That's exactly what you're doing.
Well, that's the thing. I think looking at it, it's hard to tell. It's very hard to tell. When we were talking about Matt O'Reilly earlier on, actually, and we spoke about fees when we were talking with Peter, and he says, forget the fee, get that out your head, he says, because yes, maybe they're the exception to the rule, but if I were to tell you Matt O'Reilly at 1.8 million when he first came in, as he did when he first came in, it was MK Dons, you can aim higher than that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what we need to sort of think about here and look at it. That's the thing, is like you need to look at what you're going to be signing, and it is great to see us spending all this money. I see all this money, it's overdue, it's the bare minimum. We should have been doing this for a long time. And yes, certainly I still believe that the way they've conducted their business and it being kind of late last minute rather than 4 weeks ago, I still believe in my heart of hearts that guys like Trusty, guys like Engels, for example, if we were having these conversations 3 weeks ago, you could probably shave a couple of million off the price. That's just the nature of the transfer window, is a developing market and a rolling thing, and the clock's ticking down, and you've got ready players and they know what you need. They know what they've got, a commodity that you want, and it inflates the price. But I do genuinely think that the manager needs to be looking at this. He needs to be getting in there and having one last intervention with them. Is there room for surprises? Quite possibly. I'm not going to hold my breath. I do believe we'll get Engels, of course. I think that's a given. We'll get Trusty. I do think he says he wants one additional midfielder. Now, if I was to pick, I would say I would go for Sanchez, simply because of the optics here, where he's supposed to be a more mercurial talent, similar to Engels, but on a slightly downed level. Big rising star in his home country over in Switzerland. The trajectory looks right, £3 million, and he'll offer us something different. If that's what we're doing, I expect him. If Luke McCown's someone that we want to bring in and have that homegrown quota, see, for £1 million, it shouldn't even be a thought. See if we just, and I would hate that to be the case, but see if you just sign him for the sake of signing him. It's £1 million.
Yeah.
Like that shouldn't even be that should be a no-brainer. Now, I know the manager says about he doesn't want to pad out the squad, but if it's genuinely someone, and if his names came up, then there must be something tangible there. There must be a reason why his names came up. It's not been pulled out of thin air, clearly. And if the manager rates him, and he did say in his interview, if you remember, that he wants to sign that higher price point player. However, he's not against guys at 1 and 2 million, because there's quality still to be had there.
That's it. And you look at the market, and we spoke about it many a time. If we'd done your business way back, like you said, 3-4 weeks ago, shave off a couple of million. But it's coming into that stage of the market now where teams know they need a centre half, right? They're coming in for us, right? Sticking a couple of million on that. And that's what you do. Celtic would do it as well. We're the tightest out of the lot. So obviously we would be doing that. But I'm just hoping that it'll probably be Gordon Duncan that's sitting outside Celtic Park tomorrow for transfer deadline day, just waiting on the news breaking of every player. So I just hope he's extremely busy chasing cars up the Celtic way as they're taking players in to sign the contracts and get unveiled at the side of the park. I'm hoping for a busy day tomorrow. I don't know about you guys, but listen, I'm hoping 3 or 4 at least.
I think we should definitely be looking to get some guys in. Yeah, look, we can keep saying it. Engels, yep. Trusty, yep, absolutely. Tick, tick, tick. Sanchez, if that is one, the comment I brought up there says that apparently they want 3 million, we've offered 2.5 million. Again, see if that is any truth in that. As I say, we've been tucked away for the past couple of hours, so we have been sort of shielded. We've come on here a wee bit blind, so if there's anything that you want us to bring up that's news that we're not mentioning, get it in there and we will bring it up, because as we say, we've come into this a wee bit blind. We really came in to speak about the draw, but obviously it seems that there's been wheels in motion. But again, look, see if we are genuinely, he's another guy we were interested in. See, for the sake of $500,000, come on, give the manager that extra player, give him that extra bit of quality. I hate using that term, so flippantly, but if he's identified, just give him it. $500,000. Come on, it's absolutely nothing. But what I want a surprise. I'm choking for an attacking option because Bogus was going to be that guy.
Yeah.
Because he's offering us a wee bit more. Let's look at the wing options. And there was another report as well that says apparently Celtic have decided that Lewis Palma is not going to be leaving. That was a guy that we were sitting here and questioning about where he was going to be. You put your neck in the line and says, no, you think he will feature.
Yeah.
I wasn't so sure. Does that maybe suggest that with the Bogus thing falling apart and the midfielders that we're looking at, Paddy, being more, as I says, not attacking minded as such, that's why he's getting kept about, if that's true?
Possibly. And maybe resilience thing was just about him wanting to put a wee bit more into the team. We don't know, and I suppose we'll never know when it comes down to it, but it would make sense, wouldn't it? If we've got somebody like Bogus coming in, guys like Palmer would be looking at it going, no, that's me on the outside now, because he's not going to go over a game over Dyson, and he's not going to get a shot over Bogus either if he's coming in for, I don't know what it was like, was it 8 million or something? So he would have been looking at obviously pressing out and going somewhere else. Yeah, exactly my point. I was going to bring that up about McGinn. How many times have we done that? How many times have we went and we've undercut and lost out on really good players for the sake of, like you say, $500,000 or $1 million? So for me, it's just about identifying the players that you need and going out there and spending what they're asking for them.
So this is one here. I'm going to bring this up, and I'll be lying to you if I say that I've been cited on this. I says because we came in here quite late. Diawara, it was a name that was getting floated about just very, very quietly. So again, Self for Life, if you're able to elaborate a wee bit more on what the rumblings are there, as I says, we've been tucked away for the best bit of the last sort of 4 hours, so I've not really had a chance to cite one on that. But certainly, is this not the young chap that was a developmental player or an academy type player? Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But again, if there's any shred in this, and I've said this over and over on the podcast, I am not adverse to us going to these sort of teams and getting guys who are essentially academy graduates or understudies at clubs, because there's a wide variety of quality out there. And so says, and we've hit that quite regularly. We look at Jota, we'll look at Bernardo, for example, bringing them in. We'll look at Odson Edward, we'll look at Ncham. The list goes on. There's a big amount of positive strike rate that we've had. We getting these guys that have been embedded at bigger elite clubs per se, that just aren't going to make it in there. So Celtic had bid 8 million for him and it was rejected. Completely news to me, but very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed. Obviously the fee was supposed to be around about £7 million or so for Bogus. So that would possibly make sense if we were genuinely willing to spend that money, Paddy. Could that be something that we could see out of nowhere? And what some of the commenters have said, I expect a big signing tomorrow. Maybe. Are we going to get something completely out of the blue?
Stranger things have happened, mate. I hope so. Somebody's mentioned Jota there. Now, Jota's away to Rennes. He's already signed. Apparently, it was only 8 million as well. I'd have paid 8 million for Jota to come back, definitely.
So I'm actually just trying to bring us in, give a wee bit of vision. Keep talking, Paddy. I'm getting a bit of news here. Yep. So Celtic have apparently, this is a report for
listen,
France.
I would love to see a big signing like that.
Yep. So here's, I've got a wee bit here for a bit of context, as I say, because this is news to us and this has just come through. Celtic have had a attempt to sign Mohamed Diawara, 19 on loan. It says on loan. This is a French report that I've got here, according to Foot Macaro. 19-year-old touted as a highly promising midfielder, with Brighton and Borussia Dortmund having previous interest in him and making a move for the former PSG graduate. So yeah, that's a guy that I was actually thinking about there. Last season, he played 12 of the matches for Lyon's first team and coded 4 starts in League One following his free transfer from the PSG Academy. So quite interesting.
Free transfer for the PSG Academy.
France
They
under
won.
19 international may have had this chance to impress. However, it's not confirmed. So, yeah.
I said we'll wait and see. We'll watch the transfer window tomorrow. Watch it.
So, with regards, sorry to jump in, with regards to that, just finally, it says on there that it was a loan, but there would have been an obligation to buy him for 8 million. So, kicking the fee down the line.
Yeah, listen, it's an option, isn't it? And we'll keep an eye on it, see what happens. Over the next 24 hours, we're going to be linked with a hell of a lot of people. Tomorrow is going to be absolute carnage because we know we need to strengthen everywhere. He can get to. Not interested in him. Mudryk on loan after what he done to us for Shakhtar. Definitely a take.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Where does this come? Because again, we've talked about trimming the fat and getting guys from bigger teams per se. I think if Chelsea not get something stupid like 70 guys on their books,
It's something ridiculous, mate. And we said it before. They've got Caicedo on an 8-year contract. I don't know what kind of stuff they've been smoking down in Chelsea, but it's unreal. Edward keeps coming up. I'm not interested in watching Edward. I really am not. Eddie came, he done his job and he's left. I'm not interested in him anymore. He's done his part for me. He can stay down there. We've got Ida, we've got Kyogo. That's my strikers.
so see, sorry to kick back on it, Paddy. Sorry to cut you there, but see, in terms of, I'm seeing the chats coming through, and as I say, it's about Diawara there, a young guy again, an academy product, very young in stature and age, right?
PSG, the same, yeah.
Talking about bringing him in, talking about having him on loan, but with the fee, if you want to buy him, being 8 million. Now, again, we know that age doesn't necessarily dictate quality. The amount of games you've played doesn't necessarily mean that you've got quality or you don't have. And I had this conversation with my friends where talking about Arne Engels, he says 80 senior games. And I says, okay, that's fine. And when you looked at Edward before he came to Celtic, he'd played 42 games in his career, paid 9 million for him. So I don't think that these things necessarily equate. Yeah, it's good to have somebody with experience and real world playing time. I get that. But in terms of guys like Diawara, would you have any reservations? Say we are interested in him, that's something with legs in it, right? That we've paid 11 million for a guy that's 20.
Yeah.
That we could be then going and paying, it's not a lot against Sanchez if he was to go 3-4 million for a guy that's 20. You see the pattern I'm getting at here? Would you be concerned if you're going 8 million for another guy? It's like 19, 20. You know, but that was you are going to spend that 8 million on the likes of Bogus is a wee bit older, or again
proven entity rather than another project player. Essentially, these guys that we bring in are essentially projects. How many times have you seen that happen? We bring a guy in for, like you said, 2-3 million, sometimes less, progress them up, and then punt them on at a later stage for a higher price. If you're bringing guys in at 8 million, 9 million, then you're going to, if they don't hit the ground running, you're going to struggle to sell them on for that. You're going to struggle to wipe your feet. And that's not really the Celtic way, in my opinion. The Celtic way is to get the guys in cheap and sell them on very, very
right, Paddy.
Matt O'Reilly and things like that.
The questions are going to come in, and just for fun as we wind it all up, we'll end up with Danny Ings. I tell you what, see, he's a third choice striker. I'll take Danny Ings.
Yeah, I'd take Danny Ings.
Genuinely, I would take Danny Ings. I would take Jamie Vardy. That's not happening because he's been playing, but he's a third choice option for a one-off season, for a one plug in a gap. Because I think if we got, the reality is, the manager said he wanted to have a third choice striker that was going to be a developmental type player. Now, see if we're not going to get in somebody of that ilk and we're just looking to go, again, we'll come back to the draw and go, we could do well there, but we need something extra. We need another option. See, if you're buying a Danny Ings just simply for, do you know what, fuck it, when it comes to the Champions League, let's fire him in as an option, and he's a means to an end, I would genuinely take that just as a means to an end, not for long-term thinking, because I would rather have an experienced striker like that sitting on my bench as my third option than random loanee young guy. Yeah. Or for example, is my third choice striker. Do you get what I'm thinking here?
Yeah, of course I do. And I think over the next week, the next day, we're going to be linked Armstrong here as well. Tierney, we've been linked with him. And I don't know, has McKenna found a club again? Is he still quite happy where he is? We're also linked with him.
Sort it, aye. I mean,
all of
well,
these guys are going to reappear.
yeah, I mean, and going round this is an MLS player a proven entity. Well, again, it's talent's in the eye of the beholder, and there's no doubt about it. A lot of people are judging the MLS or Bogus, for example, on the MLS as a garbage league. Because we laughed at when it first started out, it used to take penalties running for the halfway line. I get that, right? But as the manager says, put the price on the talent and the player, not the league or the team. And I think, yeah, he is a pros entity. That's the reason why he's got a first international cap for the Poland side. Again, people look at the fact that he went to Leeds and it didn't work out for him. We could say that time and time about players all over the world that it doesn't quite work out for them. Scott Sinclair went to Man City and it was a flop. He came to Celtic and was a rip-roaring success. It doesn't always, it's easy to throw that away.
Celtic was a flop, went to West Brom's player of the season.
Exactly. And there's another one. Would you take Stuart Armstrong again? As we start to get, these are the kind of things that are going to get linked out. Again, I'm using this as an
player,
option.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
As a squad player, yes. Do I think he's going to come and break into that team? No. The positions that he plays were pretty strong in. It would be an option. Would it be bringing him in just because he's an ex-Celtic player and he's a free agent? Probably, yeah. You would be looking for somebody younger like that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that is the thing. I think we're going to be getting linked. I think, if I'm being honest with myself and looking at the way the transfer windows went, Engels will be the marquee now, not marquee in terms of name, because he's an unknown quantity in terms of household name value. Of course he is. But again, you'd like to think due diligence has been done on him, and if the reports are to be believed, he's a guy with exponential, potential. And that's what you're paying for. And he would be the first name, like as we say, if we had still a Riley, he'd be one of the first names on an Augsburg team sheet next season if he was still there. So you've
100%.
got to treat that for what it is and say he will be your marquee in terms of fee, okay? Trusty, etc., they'll add on. So I think if we're going to get a surprise sprung on us that we weren't expecting, yes, they're talking about Diawara, that one, again, we'll see how that one goes. But again, if it was going to be loan with an option of 8 million at a later stage, again, I'm not against these. See, as long as there's an option or there's an obligation and there's a certain degree of quality in the player, I'm quite happy. Even though I want us to go out and spend more money and do that, I haven't got a problem with them kicking that down the line to next year's budget, as long as there's that cast iron first dibs, or yes, you will get them if you pay the money. I'm happy with that because that's worked for us before. We've done that with Maeda. We've done it previously with other, and it's not, and it's actually quite smart business. Now, I know we always criticise that it'd run it like business, but that is smart business. And my criticism was that they were getting guys on loan without these clauses. See, if the clauses are there, I'm happy for it to be a loan because you're going to get them later on, and you're going to have to pay it. So I'm all right with that. But I think if we're going to be getting guys coming in as a surprise, I think guys that are maybe out of contract that have got a name value attached to them, that's probably the kind of thing that we're going to be getting. There's another one, Jordan Henderson. I think that, no, I don't think. Is he not still at Ajax? Is he his contract torn up or something? Elaborate if you can confirm that. But yeah, similar to guys like Danny Ings, guys like Armstrong, guys that you wouldn't necessarily go out and chase as your priority target, but if they're sitting there at fucking 7 o'clock at night tomorrow, you might just go, for the right wage, you'll do, son.
Aye. That's it. We've seen it so many times. And with these players all out of contract, we never know. We would just be happy to see players coming in. We want to strengthen the squad. At this point, without Engels being fully in the door until he's, like you say, until he's standing on
Not right now.
What's this?
He says, anybody thinking about the game Sunday? Strangely, I'm not. At this moment in time, I am not.
We want to get these players in.
I'll start to think about the game at 1 minute past 11 tomorrow.
Aye, that's it. As soon as this is all done and out of the way and we've got the players in that we need, the players that are coming in as well, I don't think any of them will start on Sunday. However, I would like to see a lot of business done. These players are on free transfers and stuff like that. I can't see them all coming in. I really can't. I'd like to see us go out there and break the bank and bring in a big, like you say, a marquee, somebody else. We're going to be
There's one there, Paddy. We profiled him a couple of weeks ago. Still available. In terms of name value, vast experience, yes, he's a bit more versatile. Is he as attack-minded as some of the players that we've been looking at? Well, he isn't. But again, is this the kind of one that when it's all fallen silent, that's the kind of Brendan one that could get wheeled out as a surprise?
It would be nice. He's a decent enough player, quite versatile as well. But then again, we brought in Valley to play on the left side as well. So I'd like to see him come in. Schlupp, obviously, like you say, he's proven in the Premier League, so it'd be nice for him to come in and strengthen up the squad. Some of the younger guys could learn off.
Is this confirmed? Can we laugh at this? Is this real?
Oh, that'd be nice. We did call it. I called it 2 podcasts ago, I think it was, Steve. Said it'd be up the road after the European game.
Well. Nah, like that's the thing. There's plenty to be talking about, plenty to go on. She says we could go on here for hours and hours, but Paddy, bring it home for me, brother. In terms of the draw, just to recap for those that might have joined us, thoughts on the draw? If I was to chuck at you right now, just based on nothing, points that you feel that we can take, games that you think are winnable, games that you're not worried that you're worrying about.
Obviously worried about the mostly away games, similar to yourself, Dortmund, Villa and Atalanta. They seem to be the kind of bigger ones. Every other game for me is winnable. It really is, even Leipzig at home. I'd be hoping to come out of it all with 12 points. That would be my state. So, yeah, 12 points out of that. Try and win all our home games, but I think we'll get maybe 9 points for home. And then maybe 3 away. I'll take that. So 12 points come the end of the league. Is
this just that initial draw fever taking us over, where you see badges, you see names on a street, and you don't necessarily, because we don't, let's be honest, but there'll always be some, for lack of a better term, smart arse out there that knows everything about every team. Yeah. And I'll tell us you're a fool for writing off young boys and this and that. Right, I get that. And it is just names on a team, on a sheet, because we don't know enough about them. Some of them are tangible. Dortmund, you've seen them all last season. You know what you're getting. Deadly. Yeah. Atalanta, won the Europa League. You know what you're getting. You know that's tough. Aston Villa, you know what you're getting, right? However, Leipzig, we've sampled a version of. Yeah. Dynamo Zagreb, again, got herself through. Should they be feared? I'm sort of sitting on the fence a wee bit, because I've seen guys like Bratislava and that, the teams that you don't necessarily think that you know much about, Bruges, for example, they're usually the surprise packages, right? But based on what's came out, just on teams on a sheet, Celtic should be considered to be favourites of the 4 home games. Yeah, on their day at home. They really should. There's no excuse why we shouldn't be.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Like Kieran says there as well, there's no diddies in the Champions League. There is no bad teams in there. Villa, listen, they're a good side. We kind of profiled them a wee bit. We speak about them because they're one that we know. We watch the Premier League. We're aware of how they play. Unai Emery, obviously, John McGinnon there, Ollie Watkins. They've got a cracking side.
And nice listen, this is a great point. This is a great, to cut you in, this is a great point. Villa sampled Europe And I think we all expected them to go on and win the Europa League, or at least be in with a shout at it. Now, they've done very well and they progressed well, but ultimately, unfamiliarity of the territory could be what eats them up.
Yeah.
And I think you could argue and say, well, Celtic have got familiarity, but it's familiarity getting tanked. Yeah, that is true, but I think particularly with the sort of what we bring as a package, and as I says, we don't know when these games also are going to be, where they're going to sit. Villa could be our last game where they're near enough out in their arse and they've got to recalibrate their priorities and say, we need to look at the league now because we genuinely don't have a chance of qualifying. So there's many moving parts in this, and that again, I think, ask you this question once we know where the dates are, and then I think you'll be able to really judge it. Because if you're like, right, my last game's such and such, my last game's Dortmund, you might go, well, Dortmund will have qualified by then.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So there's many moving parts, mate. Many moving parts.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Listen, let's just look forward to it. Get tomorrow out of the way. I don't know, we're going to go on tomorrow, Steve, and do a wee.
So we're going to play it by ear because there's going to be a pre-show. I'm going to do a wee pop-up on, and I'm not sure what Paddy's plans are on Sunday, but I'll do a wee pre-show around about 10 o'clock in the morning for that.
I'll be drunk.
You'll be drunk. We may get one out tomorrow. I am very aware that for the love of Celtic, for the love of Celtic World Order and everybody out there that's watching us, we have been on every day this week and we have kids and we have wives. And do you know what I mean? Like, listen, darling, I'm going to have to leave you because I'm going all the way through the transfer window. I don't know how that one's going to wash, but we'll play it by ear. So we might be back tomorrow. We might be back. We might come on early. Or we might come on later. We might not at all. But either way, you will be getting more content out of us anyway for the course of the week. But tomorrow we get it over the line. You're always the optimist, Paddy. Shot out a cannon. It looks as if Engels is done. Trusty is done. And we'll see with the other ones. Do you think it's going to be 4 tomorrow? Or is it just the 2? Or more?
It will be the 2, guaranteed. But I'm hoping for more. I'm hoping for 4 at least. 4 at least. It's got to be 4 at least for me. Yeah, onward and upward. We'll be here tomorrow and we'll be buzzing with the signings that are coming through that door.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, that's us. We've went just over an hour, and this is actually us now into our 3.5 hour of podcasting tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. As we say a million times over, the interaction, the uptake and subscriptions, everything has been first class. We are genuinely humbled by the reaction we've got, all the kind words. We try to get back to you in the comments. If you're watching us retrospectively, you have any thoughts on what's been said, hit us up. We always try to reply to comments as and when we can. As we say, thanks for joining us tonight. I know it's super duper late. It's 11:30. We're burning the midnight oil. My eyes are falling out my head. We will hopefully be back tomorrow. However, you will get some Celtic World Order content, because if you're joining us late and there's over 150 of you, incredible, because there will be some content with you. It's appointment viewing. It's not short. It's not snappy. I suggest you find some time, you find a nice comfy seat, a couple of cans, a glass of wine, whatever your vice is, and you take this in, because this evening we had the pleasure of having bona fide Celtic man and the legend, I'm sure you'll agree, Mr. Peter Grant on Celtic World Order. We had him on. We only were wanting to have 40 minutes or so his time, and he says, nope, we will talk until we are done. And Peter went close to 2 hours. 2 hours with us, and that was absolutely fantastic. Some great stories. We covered a lot of ground, from basically being a boy like ourselves growing up, and his background at Celtic, into that team, the great players that he went with. You know, Tommy Burns, just been so close in the league with that team, the Scottish Cup, life as a coach at a doomed time under Tony Mowbray, which he was very candid about and very humble about and very honest about as well. He pulled no punches, and it was a truly great chat. He had us in stitches, both on camera and off camera, and he could have spoke for absolute hours, and it was an absolute pleasure. And more importantly, he's given up his time, and that's the kind of thing that we want to do. Hopefully everybody takes that in and watches that. Hopefully everybody listens and enjoys the stories. As I says, it's absolutely great stories, and it's a great laugh, and he's a top guy, as I says, and we're humbled to have him. And that's the kind of thing that we want to keep doing. So he says everything that we do is 100% free. And the thing is, yep, do you know what? Some people might have heard the stories before. That's the nature of the beast. It's not, these sort of chats are not for everybody, but as we say, there's always, if there's a Celtic man out there, if there's someone with a Celtic mindset, it's all about the singer, and I will happily talk for hours to anybody, and we'll continue to try and do that. I've got a few things in the pipeline, a few people that we're trying to get on that are players that aren't players. We're just trying to mix up our content. We're trying to give you a lot more than just us sitting here and talking about what's happened or what we think's going to happen. And we want to try and develop this into a channel rather than just a podcast. And it'll cost you $3.99. Everything that we do is going to be completely 100% free because we love it. So anyway, Paddy, thanks for joining me, mate. Thanks to every single one of you for joining us as well. Let's hope that we're going to be getting some exciting news tomorrow. We should have our midfielder. We should have our Matt O'Reilly or apparent, and hopefully, 3, 4 would be nice, wouldn't it? Imagine we went crazy and we ended up with 5. Wow. Who knows? Anyway, that's us. Paddy's optimistic. He likes 4. He'll say 4. 4's his number these days. So anyway, until the next time, we always say, take care of yourselves. God bless. And as always, hail, hail.
Hail, hail.